to open, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So the first thing tonight is the minutes from July 28th, 2022.
Motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second it.
Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
No meeting mail, no appointments. Business. Item A, committee appointments. Mr. Isaac.
Yeah, I put that on, this on the agenda for everybody's information. The Board of Selectmen did on July 13th reappoint all of us to the committee. And the paperwork should be coming out to get each of us sworn in. And I think it's at this time appropriate to reorganize the committee. And I suggest we put that on the agenda for next meeting. And I'd like to make an announcement that I am withdrawing from being secretary. And I'm also withdrawing from paying bills. So we got some things to think about how best to do this. And we'll put it on the agenda for next meeting.
I went in the other day, talked to Pam about, I thought I had to get sworn in, and she said maybe next week, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, she'll let us know. That's what she told me, so. Because I'm on that other committee too now that
I'll see
that you asked me to, yeah.
You've been doing that for a long time, Ed.
Yep.
Sure have.
I'm
30
not
years.
ready to give it up, but certain roles I'd like to back off on. For just other information, in July, we made another $300,000 deposit on our principal and $22,000 in change on our interest payment, which brings our total outstanding debt down to $1,275,000.
Wow.
And as of the end of fiscal 2022, the final cash reserve, free cash, hasn't been submitted to DO or the Department of Revenue. But I got a sneak preview that the amount that's going to be presented to DOR was $1,394,000. So basically, right now, we'll have cash reserve that exceeds our outstanding debt. So if for some reason the golf course blew up and shut down entirely, we would have enough money to pay off the debt. Again, you can't pay it in advance, but we could make payments and there would be no burden on the taxpayer. So,
Okay.
as of right now, if we don't spend any of the money. Which brings us into the next item.
So articles for the semi-annual town meeting in October.
Page 3 of the handout is the town, we voted last October to submit an article at that time to spend asking for authorization to spend $150,000 from free cash for a myriad of items. And the question is, and I have submitted this to the town administrator of replacement on the article. And the question is this enough, or should we be doing more? What should we be doing?
Like, personally, just for me, I think given the positive cash flow we've had the past 2 years, the things we keep saying that we need or should address, that maybe we go higher than the 150 where we are now. And just off the top of my head, if we're looking at $1,394,000, we want to say 394,000 and leaving us with an even round figures around $1 million in reserve in case anything ever really went bad. It's still a heck of a lot more than we ever used to have. We used to, for the longest time, we were trying to keep $350 in the account. This would still leave us with $1 million and let us address almost $400,000 worth of bunkers. Do we want equipment? Do we want car paths, drainage, anything that we keep talking about, but not really paying for and addressing? So, and I'm only one of 5, but that would be my preference, is to look at a higher dollar amount to just be able to start to tackle these things.
I personally don't disagree with that. But the question is, how much can we spend
Right.
between
In a year.
between the fall and the spring annual town meeting? So at which time I guess you can resubmit another article.
And what do they do if you don't spend it? Do they just throw it back, put it back
What-
in there?
I guess that's the question.
Because that was the thing that they brought up on our other articles about
Right, combining.
spending the remainder of them
Right.
before they get too old, whatever that
Right. I mean,
date
the
is.
short answer is that there really is no like hard and fast date. But you also don't want old articles lingering out there
Yeah.
for years either. So, I mean, to me, if we're in fiscal '23, carry it over for 1 year through '24, I probably wouldn't want to see it be out there past June of '24. So, what do we think, to me, because if we submit an article again in the annual town meeting, it's going to be out of the same exact pool of money, still be within fiscal '23 and kind of give you the same time frame to spend it.
Right, right.
So I'm looking at is what can we realistically accomplish in the next 12 to 18 months? And then, we wouldn't want to bite off something that's going to take 3 years to do. But what do we think we could do in the next 12 to 18 months, and what would that cost?
Unfortunately, there's a deadline when we need to submit this article, so
It's October 7th.
whether we got time to put together a good estimate of what we could spend in the next 12 months.
The other thing too, it's not going anywhere, right? So if we don't spend it, and then you authorize them to rescind it, then it goes right back into the free cash balance
Right.
anyway. It's not like it goes away or back to some other account. So,
I don't know if that people will be too happy to see that amount of money that we have available to spend without having a list of what we're gonna spend it on.
Yeah.
I think in order to ask some of that, I think we should plan what we'd like to do with carpets and all that, and estimate how much that's gonna cost, and then you have a backup to that money. But
oh, absolutely. I think we should have an idea by town meeting, certainly, so if people are even leading up to that, right, when it goes in front of the finance committee, and just not knowing the date
because
that
it's
we have.
sometime
to-
in September, we have to have that ready, right?
We need to have submitted a number.
But do we know the date that we have to submit the number by?
Yeah, I think he sent, they sent out the
He
notice
sent that
about
out.
town meeting and when you had to have the submissions by. I thought I saw that, but
I've seen it somewhere.
I've seen it, but
Yeah,
I don't
I
I
know.
don't recall, I think it was September something.
it was sometime.
7th, that kind of rings a bell.
Yeah. 7th or 17th.
But I don't know if that is enough time to put something together.
Well, we've, looked at this Steve's list of things, and then, car paths, Dana's got some issues, and I think we should do something, because otherwise we don't have another chance to even ask
Well,
for
we
anything.
know that we're gonna spend $7,500 on, $7,500 on the two, starting in October.
Yeah, but what does that entail? Replacement of bunker sand and all that other stuff, or is that just equipment
I
work?
can't either.
Is that nut to bolts, like replacing sand and so on?
Yeah.
And obviously, this was done back in, a year ago, so obviously, I would think that people would understand that cost for everything
All right, it's John.
has gone up significantly, so that number would have to increase.
I wouldn't say, and I've seen the past arguments that it's going on in some of the meetings. Why is it? Good afternoon.
How are you?
Good.
Maybe we could get that question answered. When does the information for the town meeting have to be submitted?
Beginning of September, I believe, the 7th.
That was
Yeah.
right, I think I heard the
Yeah.
7th. It's about the 7th, right?
Yeah.
7th.
And I had something telling me that it was 7th. So, Mr. Chairman, is it for you?
It's only 3 weeks away.
Yeah.
There's no free cash been certified, so there'll be no free cash articles.
So,
It'll be probably, there's gonna be a article to rectify some financial issues. There's gonna be an article to remove a lot of the borrowing authorizations from past articles that are no longer needed before we actually go out to borrow on the school roof. So it's a lot of housekeeping things. And then the CPC budget we have to set before we can set the tax rate.
So we'd be looking for authorization to fund an article from our own retained earnings.
Right, I understand that.
So would that be available to do in October?
Yeah, and as long as it gets in by then,
Yeah.
I'm hoping that they're not a large number of articles.
Because it is, from us with the planning as well, right, the next bite of the apple is gonna be May. Right, so then it's another 7 months down the road before we could even place orders for equipment or look at bunker restoration or get vendors lined up or things like that. So that's kind of why we were looking at this time of the year, to even through the fall or the spring, get these things lined up so the money funding gets there. So I would be looking at it more from the timing aspect, looking forward and looking to like jump at something now and spend this minute, if that makes sense.
Plus, that's the time that we have to do the projects are in the fall.
Right, in the slow
Well, the other
times,
in the spring.
right.
The other thing is a lot of the contractors that I've spoken to are booking April
Right, already.
Yeah, right.
already. They're booked from now till in through January until they have to stop due to weather, if they stop. So, maybe we
Yeah,
could-
I understand, but what I'm saying for that reason is mainly for you folks planning. I mean, if we get the articles in by the 7th, we probably will only have one FinCom meeting to consider them all and go right to town meeting then.
Anyone else have a preference on the dollar figure too? 'Cause I don't think we're gonna be able to meet before the 7th, but then we can certainly whittle down the list before, whenever the finance committee meeting would be, to say, this is what would justify the dollar amount, but I think we should come to a consensus tonight on a dollar amount till we submit, so we have it in by the 7th. Now, you could always go lower too, right? I mean, we could say tonight, making this up, 500,000, then we go through the list and here we have $250,000 worth of things we think are realistic. But then when you go to the finance committee, it's like, we're only gonna be really seeking 250, and then that's what gets the motion in town meeting, et cetera. You know, we can't go higher, so. Again, I was just trying to think of what's realistic from the things that we've already been talking about that we can put into requests, that we can actually start to address these things once town meeting, hopefully successful article.
I personally don't think we can plan or organize or spend the 150,000. As to what Steve is saying, things are, if we use outside source, they're booked already. So now it's getting things in plan for the spring. I'm fine with more, but
You fine with what?
more.
More.
Yeah. But I see a difficult time spending the 150,000. Even if we hold 15, we redo the Ts. We've got some irrigation valves we need to have replaced. All of those. Cart path work on 8, the bunker on 2.
Yeah.
Getting somebody to do that and actually spend 150,000. I personally, we need a lot of cart path work. But
Yeah, that's necessary.
But I don't know if the DPW can assist us or not. And if that's
No.
the case, then you're gonna be writing
Not this year.
RFPs.
They cannot assist us.
Now, we've booked them solid right now, and I will tell you, if you're talking asphalt, we were just told asphalt's gone up another $8.
I didn't get it.
Asphalt went up $8.
What?
Asphalt went up $8.
Well, they say asphalt went up $8. Is that by the ton, which is normally how they sell it, by the ton? So,
And DPW's scheduled multiple streets between, we're doing probably 8 or 9 projects where they're all involved for the next year to 18 months as far as the asphalt crew.
so that complicates your issue with the 8th hole, because the only way you were going to access the backside of the 8th hole was with the repair work to that access road in agreement with the neighbor. So I'm sure there are other alternatives, but you're going to have, if, as, that is the case, you're going to have to go out to bid on this asphalt work, because it's going to cost you substantially more than it would have if it was with assistance through DPW. I mean, a lot of those projects are going to, by their individual length alone, are going to cost you $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 a pop. So you're probably looking at, to do, as Ed mentioned, some significant cart path work, you're probably looking at almost $75,000 to $100,000 on cart path work if you have to go out to bid. So in that fashion, so I think you'll easily be able to spend that money on the projects, some of the projects that we've discussed, simply because of timing, but also because of the costs that have gone up. I mean, I just received the invoice from DHT for the isolation valves. So I'm gonna try to get, see, that's a two-man crew. I'm gonna try to get him in here in November, when we shut the system off, so he can pop those in. I mean, he had a two-man crew here, and they did the two of them by themselves. They did a great job, didn't have any problem, except for one, which the as-built said was a 6-inch or a 4-inch, and it turned out to be a 6-inch when
So
we dug
maybe
it
we
up.
should
So,
go for the 250.
Yeah, whatever the committee agrees, because, again, I think part of the long lead times on anything, whether it's construction, whether it's equipment, whether it's the DPW or an outside vendor, right, if we don't ask for something now, then we really shouldn't be even going out to bid or putting that together until we know we have the funding to do it. And if we wait till the next year to do the funding, then we're in a year after that before we're putting the bids together. So, in my mind, just thinking forward, right, we're not gonna be ready to spend this money in October, but we'll be ready to say, okay, here are the projects we're gonna do.
Right.
Let's put them together, and either it's not till next April or May, or the money is there to fund the contracts we'd be looking to do. So,
That makes sense.
That I
Definitely
will,
makes sense.
for an example, just so the committee knows, one major road project, from what we estimated 3 months ago to today, we had to go up over 20%, just for costs
That's
of
significant.
asphalt and supplies.
So we wouldn't be able to touch it at all. paths for quite a while then.
Was
Even
that-
if we wouldn't be able to touch, repair any repairs to the golf paths for quite a while, even if we had the cash for it.
Well, that's if you want to do it in-house.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, if you,
Yeah, but if we're gonna go out, subcontract
Right.
outside, it's gonna cost us 25 to 30% more,
Mhm.
at least.
At least.
Yeah.
I'm not saying DPW couldn't fit in a little bit here and there, but,
Yeah.
you know, they're out straight right now.
See, that's a hope, I like that.
Yeah.
Maybe
And most
we
of
can-
our projects too, we don't
We
take
don't want
on-
big
we do
projects for
small-
6 months, we just
Take off
want a little
bites.
bit of time, that's all.
Yeah.
And that, hey, it's part of the town of Acushnet, right?
Right, and as I said,
We save money for the Acushnet.
uh,
Correct.
and, you know, but a big project, you know, that involves 3 or 4 days, we wouldn't be able to do.
We could split it up into pieces and.
well, see, that's the thing, you would have the, for instance, with a cart path work, the first couple pieces would just to be put the base down.
Yeah.
So then you're prepared, so when you have that one day or two to put the asphalt in, everything's there, you just come in, put it down, and you're done.
Which is essentially the way you preferred it too, because they having that time with the base, you pack it in, people driving on it.
Yeah, like it can get packed in, I mean, it can, you know, and the other thing too is, depending on when we do it, we might not have that much time in one particular day or 2 days without significantly interfering with people trying to play golf. But if we can get in there and do, you know, say if we have to do something on 8 or 9, you know, we start play on the back, we get in there in the morning, get the base done, and we're out of there before they get it, people get down there, you know, do little excavation work, what have you, pick at it. But at least you're getting something
Right.
done with it. And I think if you, like Dave said, if you don't have, you know, we need to set aside the money now, because if these, you know, if for some reason there would be an opening in the schedule, and it behooves us to be able to avail ourselves of DPW services, then we should be able to jump on it, not have to,
Right.
you know,
Well,
fiddle around.
I think we should move at least double what we had here prior. That's 150 with a
So you
three.
say 3, I'd be 300,000, want to make a motion for that?
Sure, that'll be one.
So he's made a motion that this article's for 300,000, someone want to second that?
Second.
Seconded by Bob. Yeah, I think that's a good plan, and again, we'll come up over the next few weeks, kind of firm up what we think that could represent, so we can say this is what we're going to get for the money. And then, again, it gives us the funding in hand, hopefully, to then go out and schedule these things and know the real pricing and give us the flexibility to actually get these things done over the next year without having to wait another 8 months to even ask for the funding again. And if that goes through, that would still leave us with 1.1 million roughly as our reserve, which is still a very healthy reserve for the course, which is, I think, a good compromise of tackling some projects and keeping a lot of cash. So unless there are any other questions, we'll take have a motion in a second. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's 5-0 for 300,000 for the article. Great. Right. The cart path only.
I will resubmit the article.
Okay. Let's see, cart path only policy. So, are we still, I'm assuming we are still cart path only?
Well, with the exception of one day, which was the 9th of August, when it downpoured for about 4.5 hours, and that was it, we haven't had any significant precipitation. The one thing that did help is in the last 5 to 6 days, we've had cooler nighttime temperatures, which allows the heat to escape from the ground and allows the, you know, the effect of, you know, allows our irrigating through our system to have some advantage. You know, I had hoped that we were going to get that forecasted rain, and my thought would be to start, you know, to be lifting that next week. The only thing is when, you know, if the weather holds, which who knows now, I mean, the only 2 days that they're predicting significant rain next week are, of course, Monday and Tuesday. So, because I wanted to finish greens aeration and hop on starting to do the fairways. And I mean, it has helped. I mean, it's, you know, and most of the people who are out there have been paying attention. I'd say it's probably a 50-50 split. Some people get around out to the corner, and there's still an inundation of fresh tracks going across the 5th hole, the 16th approach. I mean, it's just, but I think it has helped. I mean, you know, Dana could answer better than I as to whether or not it's had an impact on people coming out to play, and what people's comments were, because I don't field any of that.
See a lot more handicap flag requests.
Oh,
That's- And you see them out there, so.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you get quite a bit of that. But
Some valid, some invalid, but you can't, you know what I mean? You have to kind of go with it. There are comments, on the really hot days we have had people say they can't do it, they gotta bow out, but, and I thought the rounds were gonna start dipping, and they kind of did for the beginning of August, because I think just the whole 2 weeks of heat kind of set in on everybody, and people starting to get run down, but sure enough, when we had gaps on the weekends, by the time Saturday or Sunday came, they were full again, and people were playing. So, I mean, people don't like it, they seem somewhat understanding. Everyone asked, did it rain a lot last night? You gotta explain it's heat stress. And then, of course, you have those guys that, you know, you catch them on the fairway and you go up to them and you say, hey, you know, we told you it's cop outs only. And they said, oh, I thought it was just the ones that had the sign. So
What
it's a
about
constant.
the notion of watering a little bit more than what you're watering? Would that help? Not worry about the total amount of water you gotta use. I think at this point, we gotta try to save what we can.
yeah, I mean, I can, you know, the problem, where am I? I'm 13.5 million gallons into 340. So
That goes to when?
I got a question.
That
What
goes through the season.
what happens if we go over that, and what's the fine?
Nobody knows. until
That
we've gone over.
hasn't really been explained. I mean, I've gone over in the past, like I
Right.
said, 400,000 or 500,000 gallons here or there.
Okay.
You know, one year, you know, closer to 1 million, and it hasn't been a big deal.
Right.
But what you gotta, I mean, I'm trying to, you know, to conserve a little bit of, you know, of that water, because I've got a lot of overseeding to do, which I'm going to have to start pounding the water, you know, and also, you know, I'm running that system every other night, and I'm pounding on that one well, because the water level's deeper now than the second well could draw anyway, because of the difference in heights of the wells.
All right,
So-
so if we, just out of curiosity, and I don't think you know the answer like you just said, but what, if there's a fine, how much of a fine is it, and is it worth us taking the fine to make sure we get the water?
Well, you have the water to put the water out. The question now is trying to get the water into the ground.
Right.
The
It's
ground
already
is
crusted.
so dry
Right, I know.
that the water sits there on the
Sits on
surface.
top.
It doesn't
that
get
rain
into the
that we
ground.
had that day, I sent Steve a video, and it was like a river just racing. So I mean, and then I actually had a customer that said after that he went home and done yard work, and he broke down. He was digging out a shrub. He was 2 inches. That's all. That's as deep as the water went.
Well, I-
Everything else was powder dry in his
I
yard.
aerated tees. He started aerating tees the next day, and I was pulling up powder,
Yeah.
straight powder. So I mean, the only other
I
thing
think
that,
whatever the fine is,
Well,
I don't think would be a fine, but there's other ways to get water. I mean, we got a hydrant up there that we can tap into. The water is not that expensive. I
well,
mean,
we had the question. We have the water. It's just the question if you want to continue to go. You know, if you want to continue to push through it. I mean, my recommendation, if you're going to be concerned about an expense, my recommendation would, you know, and again, I don't want to blow through my fertility budget or my pesticide budget, but I could blow through it with, you know, about 8 to 9 grand worth of wetting agents to put out on the fairways. And then to water those in and to get the material to go in the water to penetrate deeper into the soil.
Is it better to do that after you overseed to get it
Well,
going,
see,
or-
the idea, my approach was going to be to, you know, verticut fairways, core airify where we needed it, then come in with the wetting agent so I can get the soil profile wet. And then when I slice seed into it, the seed has got something, some water to get.
But the word is that you probably want to wait 50 days before you can get that slicer in, right? So
Well,
that's
yeah,
over a month.
I
That's in
contacted him at the
October.
beginning of the week, it's 2 to 3 weeks, but I gotta get out there and do the renovation process
I mean, the
first.
problem is now, then we have to worry about when we reach, get to that area. But, I mean, if you go to all the golf courses around, which I did go see, and they all have green tees, green fairways, and greens. Was we got tees and greens, fairways are gone.
The fairways aren't gone, they're dormant, and I don't know where you're going to play golf, but everybody doesn't have greens, tees, green tees,
Oh, I played at
fairways.
the country club and it's green.
Play what
Buildings-
country club?
Allendale is green. I mean, they're all green.
Manny, alls I can tell you is what our
They're using
circumstances.
water. I mean.
All right, well, you know what? I'll go out there tomorrow night and I'll start pumping 300,000 gallons a night every night of the week, and I'll burn my well out and I'll burn my pumps out. Then I won't have anything. I'm trying to gauge it so we can get back in with a proper climate to get this done. But if you want me to go out there and pump that much water, I can do it, no problem. And I'll just throw it out
My
there.
point is just you to use your knowledge to see if you can improve those fairways. That's all I'm trying to do.
Well, that's what
I
I'm
mean,
trying to
and-
use
and
my
so far we haven't
knowledge
had any
to
results.
improve them at the right time.
Well, after the summer is over, anybody can improve it. They get green automatically.
Do you need more wetting agent?
Yeah, I haven't spent money on. I've done the fairways twice. I haven't spent the money on it because, as my forecast goes,
It's dry.
I'd be pushing through the budget. And
Don't
I've
leave
got.
it, it's getting good.
I mean, at this point,
It's a
if everybody else looks better than me and everybody else is doing a better job than me, and everybody else knows more about the Acushnet River Valley's golf course and soil conditions than the guy who's been here 22 years, then, geez, I'll call
I mean, I
everybody
don't know
else up
about
and
the,
start doing what everybody else is
don't
doing.
get me wrong, I don't know about the condition, I just know the way it looks. I mean, the looks, I don't know what's the basis that you gotta do to bring it to a better looking and better like he says, the people like to ride the cars at least in the fairways. And we're not letting them do that. Everybody else is riding the cars in the fairways.
All right, then lift the cart path
I
restrictions
mean,
tomorrow.
I'm just
Pull it up, let 'em
putting
go.
it up.
I got a question before we do that. Now, you talked to me we talked last time about, dormant grass and dead grass. And I was out there Monday, and there's a lot of dormant grass, which I understand, which will come back, but there's also a significant amount of gray
Yeah,
that is totally gone, right?
that's from the heat, yeah.
Is that dead?
Okay. So it turns like I said, gray, almost black.
Yeah, that's from the heat, and when it turns gray and it turns black, then
That's gone, right?
That's going out,
That's
yes.
not coming back. All right, the process to get that area back is a lot harder than the process of getting the dormant grass back, correct?
Correct.
Okay. What does that process entire? What do you have to do to get that gray grass back?
Well, you gotta
Is it just,
create.
if it's just areas, or is the whole
Well, it's just
shebang?
areas. I mean, it's
Okay.
important. Certainly, you got to know the problem that you have out there in a lot of places. You have isolated dry spots, and that has to do with the way in which the fairway was constructed and the way in which cart traffic and other things has gone over a period of time. People are creatures of habit. They tend to go the same direction all the time.
You're right.
You look at the fifth
You're right.
fairway, everybody cuts through the same spot.
Right.
Second fairway, everybody cuts through the same spot. So the idea behind getting those to come back is you've got to open up the surface so the water can get into the surface.
Okay.
And then once you get it opened up, then you get the water into the surface, you can rehydrate the soil, and then you can get in there and slice seed and get it to recover that way.
Okay.
But
What's the recovery process? How long?
well, it's
Say you start doing that, I don't know, at the end of September.
Actually, you want to do it before then because you want to be able to take advantage of some of the warmer temperatures to get the seed to germinate and grow.
Okay.
That's why the best time to do any seeding or renovation is really mid-August and forward, if you have the water and time and wherewithal to be able to do it.
Okay, yeah, so if we get that done, and if you start doing that in, another week or two, the process of that grass coming back will be end of October?
Yeah, I would say so, depending on how much, and again, if you slice seed, you're putting the seed below, or a little bit below the surface, so it's going to be able to take some traffic. But, you gotta realize too, in the amount, in the last 2 years, the amount of additional cart traffic that we put out there based on what we've done in the past. And the other thing you have to remember too is this is just not a 1 month or 2 month phenomenon. This goes back to when you have saturated soils and you continue to drive and drive and drive over them, because the soil has two spaces. It's got pore space for air, it's got pore space for water. When you compact it and compact it and compact it, you eliminate those pore spaces. So the water and air are gone, turf can't exist, and it starts to thin out. And I mean, let's face it, I have one aerator. It's less than the size of this table. It takes 20 minutes to do 7,000 square feet. The first fairway alone is 87,000 square feet. You can fit all our greens and collars into the 9th fairway, the 14th fairway, or the 12th fairway, and almost all of them into the 13th fairway. It takes a lot of time. I'm willing to do it, but I need to be able to do it. I start pulling up cores and I have people driving over top of them and smashing them and getting upset because I'm running the machine and I got them shop the machine every 3.5 minutes for somebody to hit a ball. You never get done. That's why we contract out and have them come in with the solid time. They bring 7 or 8 machines.
Right.
And they line them up across the fairway and boom, 20 minutes they're done one fairway, they go to the next. So yes, I can get it back. I can renovate it and get the seed in. It's just a question of timing and having the opportunity to do it. And if the weather holds, if I can get the greens done on Monday or Tuesday, I mean, I hate to say it, but if the weather doesn't hold and I can't get the greens done, I'm gonna have to push the greens off till October. Because my fairway, the fairways can't wait till October for me to get around to doing something.
So I was gonna ask the same question that Ed did about the wedding agent and the money aside. Would that help you now at all?
Yes, it would help now. It
Because
would help by starting to rehydrate the soil. So you could take, as an example, you take this tabletop here is the brown fairway that hasn't had a wetting agent applied to it. You pour the water on top of it, and the water droplet's going to sit right there on the top. If you have the wetting agent, and of course you have to water the wetting agent in, and watering it in is not a 5-minute operation. You're talking 10 to 15 minutes per station, so that's going to take you about 40 minutes to irrigate the entire fairway. So if I don't get started by 6:30 in the morning, everybody who comes out to play is going to get a shower. And I can't wait till the night because it's photosensitive. If you leave it on there, it could either burn your grass or it could dissipate and not be effective. But when you put it down, you put the water drop on top of it after it's down, the water drop disappears. I could go out there now on a green, take a cup of water, pour it on top of the green, water disappears. I do it on a fairway, it sits right there.
Because when you say about you're worried about burning through your whole budget for that, but to me, in this extreme weather and the conditions we're in, are the exact reason why we have the reserve account built into the budget, right? Because this is extreme.
Yeah.
So to me,
Yeah, me too.
I think
buy
you
the
should just
chemicals
buy
you
it.
need to buy
Yeah.
or put out and then replenish, but just put down what you feel with your agronomic knowledge is best to do, and don't worry about the money for the chemicals right now. And let's get these things started to be refinished.
Well, they'll start to turn around. I mean, they already started to turn around
right.
with the cooler nighttime weather. It's just that are some places where the traffic is concentrated in the past that aren't going to come down. I mean, look at the 4th fairway. You look at the right side of the 4th fairway, then you look at the left.
Yeah.
But where does all the traffic go on the 4th fairway? It all goes up the left-hand side. There's
Yeah,
occasional
exactly.
people who
Yeah.
wing it into the woods.
Yeah.
But you could almost see the split
Right.
in the middle of the fairway where all the traffic goes, up where that stump is, where the tree used to be. So, I mean, I'll get it when I get out of here. I get on the horn and get the material delivered, and then I can start putting it out. I mean, and if I come in on Monday morning and it's raining, I don't have to worry about watering it. I can just
Yeah.
spray it in rain, so I can do that too.
You know what, I wouldn't trust any forecast.
Yeah. Hey, everything's missed
They've
us.
been wrong.
Everything's missed us.
There's nothing even close.
Nope.
No.
We are in a spot where on the right side and the left side, they're in drought. We are in the middle where it's extreme drought,
Yes.
which is very unusual for this area.
Yeah.
What was it, that last one
Very
that came?
unusual.
It
We've
was
had
circling around, it
we've
was
had
gonna
no
land right on
storms
us,
come up the
and it
coast.
just split wide
All the
open.
rain we get's coming
Dry.
off the mountains, and it doesn't
Yeah.
make it here.
Yeah, it doesn't get
It
here.
doesn't get here. It dies. Anything coming up the coast has been going out to sea. We get nothing. Nothing. You told me last time it was June 13th that we had a significant amount of rain.
Yeah,
So that's 2 months ago.
yeah. Measured
Well,
in
last
rain
year there
gauge,
wasn't
yeah.
much rain either, so.
Yeah, it wasn't this bad though.
No, it wasn't this
No.
bad.
So, in answer to your number C, we extend one more week and then we're done with it. That way, at least, hopefully I can get out there and get most of this stuff done, and we'll see what happens.
All right, I got
That's
one
the best I
question
can
on
do.
that too. You can probably answer this, Dana. What, since using no cart paths, what is the time of a round for 18 holes?
It does go up a little bit,
Like what?
probably 20 minutes,
That's it?
roughly.
So what's our
Because
average
people in the
round?
morning still play fast,
Yeah.
regardless of cart
Yeah.
path or not
Yeah.
cart path. That's just the nature of their.
So what's our rate, not rate, what's our time?
Typically,
right
we're
now?
4:15. So
Right.
on the
So-
weekends, it slows down, pretty dramatically by, I'd say 11:30. If you go out at 11:30, you're looking at a 4.5 hour round.
And
pretty
that's our norm.
No, 4.5 is past our norm. And
What's our norm,
then
4:15?
4:15 is our norm.
All right, so they're going almost 5 hours.
Yeah, at some point, some Saturdays and Sundays,
Well, I can
jam-packed.
imagine. Yep, okay. Just curious, I'm figuring out how many, that's.
Yeah, I mean,
you
and
know.
one again, I've spoken to Ed and Dave about thinking that the rounds were gonna drop off with all of these factors coming into play, and midweek by Friday, Saturday's full if we don't have an outing, and Sunday's almost full. But this is gonna change too, because you got leagues that are winding down, they're in playoffs right now, so you get 2 to 3 weeks of playoffs, and the leagues are gone, so that reduces your
So
rounds
that, yeah.
100 a night, 100 players. That takes
Yeah.
away some traffic, like hard traffic. And then I've mentioned to Steve already, I've had at least four roundings in September. They couldn't get to play, so they backed off. Those are hard rounds as far as cot path
Oh,
and,
yeah.
paying attention to and traveling where they shouldn't be. They're tougher to manage. So we've got some things working in our favor coming into the fall, hopefully.
Okay.
I would just caution you, Steve, not to go
Crazy.
crazy with the water. I don't want the pump to go dry.
Or burned out.
Well, see, that's the thing, you can only, because of the size of our retention pond, you can get two full course irrigations out of that pond. And what it does, and I've been irrigating every other night,
Okay,
and
so it recovers enough for
yeah,
you.
it recovers enough. Now, I mean, the well is on auto. Now, if I irrigate every night, that well is going to be running almost constantly. And it's been, it's put in a lot of work. See, I mean, maybe I could dump more water out there, but I'm sitting there looking at these circumstances. I'm looking at the weather, and I say, geez, if I burn my well out in the middle of July,
We lost them.
I'm SOL, and you're going to
You
start
lose your
losing greens,
greens and
and then you're going to start losing your money. So,
Bodies are still
and I
coming.
mean, and Kevin and I, we sit down there, we talk about this all the time, because we have to put a plan together that's going to work. I mean, and you can even green surrounds, when you get a little bit farther away from the green, which have not had any water cut back from them, that they're running consistently. but you're not getting the penetration into the ground. I mean, you get 5 feet off the green, 6 feet off the green, and in some cases it's still brown, and those and that hasn't been cut back.
Can we delay starting to like 9 o'clock or something during the week to allow you to get the wetting agents in and?
Well, I mean, it's,
water in?
if I, knowing, you know, it takes me 6 tanks to spray fairways. And each tank takes about an hour to actually spray it, but then you have to fill it up, you have to mix it. So each tank is about an hour and 45 minutes or so. The problem being, is what I try to do is I go out and I'll do the first, 1, 2, and 3. I can get those done before golf comes. Then I jump all the way out to the backside and I'll do 12, 13, and 14.
Can we alternate first and 10th tee to give you more?
We already do with our
Yeah,
leagues.
so we do on Wednesday
Wednesday and
and
Friday.
I mean, every day, so,
Alternated every day?
right,
Well,
so.
we do Monday and Tuesday is off the front, Wednesday would be off the back, Thursday
Yeah,
would
it's
be off the front,
like
Friday
tomorrow's
would
off the back. So, I mean,
So-
again, depending on what, like next week on Wednesday and Friday, we're off the front. So as an example, if I could go out, again, it all depends on what the weather is, but I can jump out Wednesday morning and do a couple fairways at the beginning, and I can jump to the backside and do a couple fairways after that. It's just it's running back and forth and filling up that tank. It's just it takes a lot of time, and and I get here at 4:15 in the morning, so I could try to spray a little bit earlier by coming in earlier.
Well,
if I
we
don't
do
run
have
the
2
system.
hours of dead time too between when we shut down the blocks for the leagues from 1:30 to 3:30 or 4 o'clock. Because the front side is dead for roughly 2 hours.
So it's.
That would help at times. Just that, unfortunately, around here, you get past 9:30 in the morning, and the wind starts to blow. Wind gets above 11, 12 miles an hour, and it dissipates the spray before it hits the ground, and you're proverbially pissing in the wind.
Steve, how many wells we got now? We got 2, right?
Excuse me?
We got two wells, right?
Yeah, we have 2 wells.
So they both pumping.
Well, no, they're one it only pumps down to one is not as deep as the other. So once you pump down to a certain point, that one's ineffective because this one is not reaching the water. The primary well, the first well that they put in here is the primary well that we're running off of now. That one's the one that's deeper, and it's the one that actually produces more water. And it's been,
So we don't run
doing
the
a
other
good
one
job.
around.
I can't run I don't run the other one now because it's not reaching, it's not supplying, I could run it, it would supply water, but it wouldn't fill that retention pond and fill the irrigation pond in half the time that the other one does. So in order to keep up, since it's shallower than the other well, because you've driven down the, I mean, I'm taking measurements on our wells out there, the 2 that they call them test wells, but we have, within our water use permit, we have 2 wells we have to measure, and these are some of the lowest measurements I've ever gotten here about where the water level is. So I pump out of the one this time of year because, like I said, the water level.
So sometime we probably ought to look, get another well deeper so we don't
Well,
run into that problem.
you can try to put the second one deeper and see if that would help. I mean, they're only about 40, 50 yards away from each other because of the positioning of where we would, that's basically what we had to work with as far as putting the other one in, because of the positioning and actually getting the water into the pond. But we'll get I'll go out and I'll talk to the distributor and see what we can do about that, and get the product, and then again, depending on how the weather goes, we'll be able to apply it. And I may, I don't have a spiker, but I may try to run the verticut over top of it first, just to open it up. If I open up a seam, apply the material, and then water it in, it'll get, it gets it in the ground quicker. It's just that you have to clean up the mess with your verticut.
You're talking about dropping the car path only next week?
The end of next week.
This 90-degree rule, I'll bring that up again.
Well, 90 degree rules are are fine and they work, but people don't understand what 90-degree rules are. I mean, 90-degree rules is drive down to your location of your ball, 90 degrees apart. Don't park your cart in the middle of the fairway to play your ball. Park your cart on the other side, play your ball, turn around and go back. But they don't, I mean, the 90-degree rule ends up going up here and then going back here and then going back down this way.
The problem
Sounds
is, a
about
lot
right.
of the problem is that people don't know how to utilize a cart correctly. When you go to your ball, and then the next guy could be, I'm here, the other guy's over there, and he's waiting for this guy to hit to go get his ball in the cart.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, what are you doing? You know, you can't walk. It's a lot easier if it was in. It is in black and white. Use your common sense. You know, I mean, you don't have to drive the cart 5 yards to get to your ball while the other guy's right, 10 yards away from you. You know, one spot. Figure out where you both got to go, and then go from there. But it
Well,
doesn't happen.
maybe we go to 90-degree rule and we just tell them, so listen,
I have a diagram.
well, we're trying to help with your situation of play
Right.
along with our situation of being dry. So let's go from not being cart path only to 90 degrees, just as long as people can understand what 90 degrees is.
Maybe we should draw a thing and so.
You can draw a picture.
Put it on the card to your right.
This is
I'll
90
buy a right
degrees.
angle at the
Yeah.
hardware store and I'll put it up there and show what a 90 degrees is.
Yeah, but I think, the other thing too, looking at, getting through the end of next week, we can, hopefully we can start to get a little bit of recovery. I hate to not want rain on Monday and Tuesday because we're aerifying, but want rain on Monday and Tuesday because our fairways could use it.
I think Monday's gonna be all right. You'll be
Hope
able
so.
to get it. You just need to get it done in one day, that's all.
There you go.
All right,
You
so
know,
Yeah, work around the clock and take the next day off.
So we're
It'll
gonna
be done in one day.
try to implement a 90-degree rule week after next.
Yeah, and
See
next
if we
week,
can
yeah.
enforce it or educate people, and encourage them to understand the situation, and we need their help, so.
Sure.
Okay.
That would be a good idea. Go to 90.
And that's starting next Monday.
Yeah, that Monday.
Monday.
Not this Monday.
The
Week
following
after.
Monday.
29th,
20.
the Monday
Oh, okay.
before
All
the
right. Okay.
New
All right.
Bedford Fire Department comes for the
All right, moving on. Slice Cedar Trailer Radios.
Well, Slice Cedar's supposed to be here, and they told me 2 to 3 weeks at the beginning of the week. He's saying it could be earlier. The only real benefit we have as far as being earlier is concerned is this is a 3-point hitch machine. The problem with all the equipment is that they can't get the engines. Well, this one doesn't have an engine, so if they can locate it and get it to us, I mean, it runs off the PTO of the tractor. So that's why they could get it here earlier. He said if we got the other one, which is a little bit smaller but is more utilitarian because you can fit it on, you can fit it in smaller spaces, you'd be waiting almost a year because it has its own separate engine. So I'm hoping I keep on giving them a hard time. It seems like the country club, not your country club, but where they held the Open and other places can get equipment at the snap of a finger, and the rest of us can't get equipment for a year and a half. So
Oh,
it's funny how it works that way.
Yeah.
So that was 19,494.
Yeah.
Right.
And then the trailer that I had mentioned.
Let me continue on this one, if you mind. We have 31,000 in capital funding, and Jamie agreed to put it on the Board of Selectmen's meeting for the first week in September, so that we can come before them, understand, explain to them what we need, and suggest that we take it out of the capital. Do we agree?
Yep.
Do we need a motion on that?
Yeah.
I thought we already did it when we told Steve to order it. Maybe not.
Well, we ordered, yeah.
Right, I know.
You can always cancel,
But we cannot, all right.
There you
Well,
then they'll get real pissed.
we'll
if
follow
they
it
don't
up.
get
We'll take a
anything.
motion to take the slice heater out of capital.
I thought we already,
Yes, only.
we did that, right?
Well, I think we did that.
Make a motion.
We're debating it, so Manny made the motion,
I'll second it.
Tom seconded it,
Yeah.
all in favor?
I thought we did that last time, but.
Just in case we didn't, we did that.
All right.
Trailer and radios still on this one?
Two things, the trailer, we had, you noted we got the 1026 walking T-mower. And it doesn't, I thought it was going to fit on our existing trailer. It fits on the trailer, but it's not very secure. We tried to move the brackets in to make it secure so it hold it in place, but it's a different design than the brackets, so they won't really hold it in place. Of course, Toro makes a separate trailer they call a TransPro that is specifically for either the 1026, which is 26 inches long, or the 1018, which is 18 inches, I should say long, 18 inches wide. So I spoke to the Toro rep, and the TransPro cost approximately $1,850, and we do have about $2,280 left in Article 908001. So I thought we might be able to spend that money to pick up that trailer to appropriately transport that machine. So I don't want to get it to the point where it's bouncing around the back of there, throws off the height of cut, or dings the bed knife, and it costs me $125 to replace the bed knife and stuff. So right now I have the person who's using it going very slow and only on the path.
I'll make that motion. I'll buy the trailer from Article.
Second.
Manny seconded it. Any questions on that?
Nope.
All in favor?
Aye.
And the other thing I put in there is just, Dana, and I talked briefly to Dana about this. I mean, our radio situation is kind of slowly going downhill. I've got probably 6 radios, 3 of which work on a consistent basis. And it's important for us to be able to communicate between staff people, not only for actual maintenance, but if someone is to break down, if someone's injured, and we've consistently gotten hand-me-downs from the fire department and
They only last
the
so
police
long.
department. They only last so long. So I was.
It's been a while, too.
It's been a while too. So I wanted to put that out there. I've been trying to research. I talked with the fire department and found out where they get their radios, and they told me where they've gotten them in the past, and they're looking to other places in the future for a more, how do I say this, more
Sophisticated.
there you go, radio system. I talked with the police department, and they got their new radios through Motorola Solutions. So I contacted Motorola Solutions, and I'm waiting to hear back from them. They're going to assign a local rep to us to discuss what we're looking for and what we're going to get. I'm estimating that they're going to cost approximately $265 each, which includes a charging station. And I just put that number out there. We'll know more in the future as I'm able to talk with these guys and make sure that the radios will meet our needs, and we don't have to have a license for a new frequency and so on.
So we'll hold that until you get.
Yeah,
more information.
I'm waiting to hear. I contacted them a week ago. They got right back to me the next day, said they're going to sign somebody to me, and haven't heard about
And how many
the assigned person. I'd say between the two of us to be effective, probably 12, 15 at any one. I mean, I'd like to have 8 or 9 of my guys out in the field, having them when I have 8 or 9 guys out in the field, plus 1 in the shop. And I know, Dana's got a starter, you got a ranger, you got a radio in the shop,
Bag boy.
and bag boys, so you're looking at 4 or 5 in his circumstance anyway. I mean, it's a lot helpful. I mean, right now, I mean, I call some of my guys on my personal cell phone because they don't have radios. So, you know, Kevin and I we keep in touch with them that way. But it's easier to have, you know, the radio system.
They all have
uses.
telephones because they're very good that way.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I don't get that. They all do that.
And
You
the
look
land.
pretty good doing it too.
I'm starting to practice.
Yeah, I think you've been in training.
I find them behind doors, I find them all over the place.
Oh, boy.
All right, so we'll revisit the radios once we get
Yeah.
back from that.
Once we get more information about the cost and so forth.
So our next thing is our favorite hole on the course, hole 15 options.
Oh, boy.
So it appears that our little test did not prove as fruitful as we had hoped as far as
No.
retaining balls on our property.
Nope. Keeping that as a par 4 probably won't work out too well for us.
When we had the white, the tees, you moved them right in front of a stream, right in front of that little. What about if we had tried them to the left? To the end of the other, where you got the blacks? Because that's what we were thinking of putting the tee.
Yeah,
We experienced a significant amount of balls going out of bounds. So, I mean, if we want to take on that type of risk, I mean, you can run more tests if you want.
Well, we can run the test, we want to try it on the top, see it if it did any difference, but we haven't cleaned the
I think,
the
I don't
pond.
know, I sent an email to everyone, if everyone took a moment to read it. We had the MGA, coincidentally, we had an MGA event, and we had the gentleman that actually does the course ratings, sloping ratings, that had done our course sloping ratings previously, and he is also involved with the re-rating of the course that had some issues recently. And so I just asked him, as a favor, if he wouldn't mind going out and taking a look at that hole and giving us, his honest opinion, what his thoughts were with regards to it, and how he knows what was going on in the other situation, and if he could give an assessment. And he basically came back with almost identical information as to what Mr. Garish came back with regards to making it a par 3, fitting into our current layout, putting the tee boxes on the right-hand side so as any mishits, you'd still be allowed to use the current layout fairway to play into the hole. You would also minimize any or the majority of chance of any out of bounds, because you would angle the tee box to face the green. And then some of the things that we experienced with the survey, we were seeing guys hitting the balls into the 14th fairway, as well as in the water, as well as still going up the road, Gulf Street Road, or whatever it's called. So to minimize our liabilities, potential liabilities, or any problems, it would probably just behoove us to go with what the professionals are saying, make it a par 3. And I also talked to him about the 71, 72 par, and he's like, listen, we've got great golf courses out there that are 69. Don't get hung up on it. It is what it is, and they're great golf courses. And don't cheapen another hole by trying to get that stroke back, because the layout is a fantastic layout as it plays out. So if you and that hole, if you do put it, make it into a par 3, it actually plays as a challenging par 3, and that was an easy par 4 for a lot of people.
Yeah, you're right.
So, I mean, I think it doesn't take away from our golf course. I think in the end, you're actually going to come out ahead with it, to be honest with you. I don't think the total stroke count is really going to come into play. And playing as a par 3, as we have for what is it, a month and a half, 2 months?
Yeah.
Rounds haven't dropped off, customers haven't complained, and they're just more curious than anything, what's going on? Why?
It's a tougher hole as a par 3.
Absolutely.
And I would guess that scores have been
And the scores
different significantly.
have not changed
It's a
significantly.
tougher hole.
If anything, they're going up by 2 or 3.
You got that,
They are,
you got that window there.
Double
It's
bogey.
brutal. You got wind, you have no place, there's no.
It's tough. You pinch between the bunker, the water, and then
Well,
the
the only
shape of the
bailout
green.
is to the bunker to not near the green, but
Yeah,
up.
the fairway.
That's
side,
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can't play over and play the fairway, so that,
No.
those players are safe, which
Yeah.
is what we have to keep in mind. You don't wanna create another situation, by trying to shift or.
A lot of
maintain
people
something.
during the course of the year do that. They tee it up and they play over to the 14th.
Oh, I know that, yeah.
And then
When
they
I,
hit
when I,
the
when I
15
coached,
free.
the kids used to do
Yeah,
that.
I see
If the
outings
flag
all
was
the
on the
time.
left side, they go up the other fairway. I said, what are you guys doing? Oh, this is easier.
Yep.
Okay. It's not against the rules.
Right?
No,
No, it's a
it's
right,
not.
But you can
everything's
use it.
playable.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, I mean, that's coming from the guys that are in the business and their recommendations, and I would strongly think that we should kind of take their advice and grab the ball while we got it, put aside the funds that we need to do it, put a plan in place, get it done so that we can get this thing seeded and use it next season instead of kind of, bouncing this around.
Don't spend any money on nets or poles.
No,
or
no.
anything else. It's
Short money.
It's a challenging par three, could be a challenging
Yeah.
par three.
So what?
And it also eliminates the things that Stephen was talking about with regards to the wetlands and having to do
Yeah.
stuff with the vegetation. Just
Yeah.
takes
You
that
don't-
all out of play.
So
No,
you
you
gotta
still gotta do that.
A little bit.
Well,
Yeah,
you gotta-
can
you
do the
gotta-
corner, but you don't have to
Everything
worry
that
about
go-
the tee
what
box
side
and
of
then
the
the other
fairway.
side.
I would look at the, you have to do something about the pond remediation in the embankment, because, depending on how high you raise the tee, you still have to be able to, you still have to be able to see. You still want to have a clear vision. And the only drawback I've seen so far is, we started doing that and we opened a big hole, and guess who's back? Our fine feathered friends, because now they have an easy walkway on
Acushnet
out
Air
of the
Force?
water. Huh?
Acushnet Air
The
Force?
Acushnet Air Force, yeah.
They're back.
But if you as we go through and clean up the pond embankment, you can see on that embankment where it's starting to erode further and further back. And we're going to need to look at pond embankment stabilization. I've contacted one company, and I talked to the architect, Tim Garish, about that. And he's actually doing projects now with a fella named Mike Toohill, who was the original wetlands delineator and involved in the original plan for this golf course, and has done extensive work with wetland areas and other issues as it relates to golf. And he's working on a couple projects with them now. And actually, back in 2014, I had Mike out here to look at the pond on 14. So I think it's I think it's a good opportunity. I think we discussed it quite a bit, but I think in the end, in order to save us future litigation, that we need to make that change. Either that or buy the house on the corner and.
That's an option.
As much as our insurance company would hate to see us do nothing, they would also just as much dislike putting up nets and posts.
Oh, yeah,
So,
There's a big
And-
expense just on maintenance on that thing every year, the fences.
well, the liability they told us it would probably substantially increase our insurance.
Like the potential that
See, I'm surprised how those clubs like Ellendale's got them all over there. And what did that insurance be like?
That's not the way to go there. It's not the way to do. Elevate the tee box, make a tee box so it's, even if you have to make steps to walk up to it a little,
Right.
so you can see the green.
Yeah.
You know how they have a few steps, right?
Yeah.
That's all. And then let it go from there, and then play it as a par three, change the scorecards, get the MGA in,
Yeah.
USGA to read.
Which I did discuss with him. He said, when you guys get established,
Yeah.
we'll come back out
And
and
reestablish
look at it.
the course rating and the slope, and go from there. Not a big,
No, I don't think we have to make it more complex than what it needs to be. I think sometimes,
it is what it is. What are
it
you
is
gonna
what
do?
it is, and actually, the
Unfortunately, someone
easiest,
moved in there
the
that,
easiest route to fixing it is actually the best route for us to move forward from this situation.
we didn't have a problem for 23, 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
now we got a problem. Their prerogative, you know, what are you gonna do? Have to make
In
an
today's
adjustment.
world, it's their prerogative. In the old world, it didn't matter.
Gonna have to
Everybody
make an
gets a
adjustment.
trophy.
Given the
I'll make that
constraints.
motion, we convert hole number 15 from par 4 to a par 3.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Well, given the constraints of our property, it's probably the best solution. we
Now,
have.
how should we proceed in this? Should we contact the architect? Do we want to have a meeting out there so that everybody's on the same page? How do we want to proceed now that we decide we're going to convert this? Because he contacted me at the beginning of the week, just to get an update about where we were, and I told him, I said, well, we're going to have a meeting on Thursday, and you know, and it's on the agenda, so we'll see how you want to proceed. I mean, he's more than willing to come out and meet with everybody out there and look at it so everybody's on the same page and understands how it's going to go and whether or not, you know, at that time you can decide, okay, well, I mean, you're going to have a contractor out there at some point. Do you want to do that bunker on the left side of the 14th hole, which is 150 yards away? You know, bundle it into the same thing, and then, you know, whether or not you want to address the pond embankment, or I can, you know, short term I can just keep cutting it down, but at some point we're going to have to address the erosion of the pond embankments.
I think, especially where we're making the decision that we're making basically a permanent change to this hole, then it might as well be, you know, laid out and designed appropriately. I mean, if we were just doing something temporary, getting it through, then okay, it doesn't need to be designed or whatever, but I think if we're making a permanent change to the hole, we could use the eye, right, of somebody, if this is what they do, to site it, size it, shape it, whatever, at least.
And then you get
concept,
bid
and then-
documents and specifications.
and then see how
on what-
detailed we want it to be, but at least.
You have the professional draw it up, and then if we want to use a local guy that can,
Well, I mean, you get bid document specifications, put it out there to bid. Anybody's allowed to bid. I mean, if somebody, whether, you know, he's local, whether he's from New Jersey, or whether he's from New
And when you're gonna
Hampshire.
make 4 tees,
Excuse me?
gonna make 5 tees or 4 tees?
Well, we'll figure that out. I mean, that's part of, that's part of
Yeah.
the meeting out there. Should we make one large tee and separate it into smaller portions by how it's positioned to the hole, or should we make separate tees by themselves? That's, you know, that's all part of the discussion process and putting it forward.
So,
I'm-
so we are gonna get a designer to
Yeah.
come in and design the thing.
Forget, par three's tee boxes take a beat.
Yeah,
You know.
so you're going to need, I mean, you need to have the appropriate amount of teeing space.
You're
Just
gonna
look at the
need-
tee
yeah,
boxes on the
exactly.
17th hole.
I don't think you put
They're too
them
small.
all in one basket and say, let's
No.
divide it into 5, because it ain't gonna
No.
last.
No, I mean, right now on that hole, you have 12,000 square feet of teeing space. So you're going to want to have a minimum of 12,000, that's the actual teeing surface. So you're going to want to have a minimum of 12,000 square feet of teeing space. I mean, they have a formula that they use, especially for par 3 tees, because par 3 tees are supposed to be the largest tees on the golf course.
well, they
Not
It should
small.
be, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, you need more area to, you know,
Yeah.
to recover.
chop it up.
Yeah, they chop them up, recover, move it, you know.
Yeah. So, so I should contact him and tell him we're gonna move forward with this conversion, and do we want to get together and have a meeting out there, or do we want to have him come up with some preliminary ideas? How do we wanna get the ball rolling?
I would like to
Because-
see what he's gonna
What he's gonna
suggest.
promote, yeah.
Yeah, if he has.
Would like to meet him out there.
Yeah, I would too.
Yeah, I would think, yeah, he can have his own idea of what the preliminary suggestions would be, but then we
Yeah.
meet him out there and he can walk us through it on site, as opposed to just sitting here or even on the
Yeah.
screen.
Okay, so, when would you like to, because he can meet you, you know, I can contact him and say, okay, well, you know, the group wants to meet, so when would you like to have said meeting? You know, week, 2 weeks, you know, when, you know, when
When
are
do we
people
plan on doing
available?
this too?
I guess
It's
the
all-
soonest
it's all
we-
relative.
The soonest possible, right?
Right.
Yeah.
There you go.
Well, I'll call him up then, and I'll find out what his availability is, and then I'll let the committee know, and then we can see what people agree to for a particular date and time, and we'll go
And we can
forward.
do those, that area in your 14th at this basically get some
Yeah,
kind
see,
of
it's
clue?
better, the thing, the important thing is that you folks have the opportunity to talk to him, because, I don't wanna, because in certain circumstances, don't everybody laugh, my opinion's biased on some things. So, you wanna hear it from
Hey, so
him.
no laughing.
So you want to hear it from him, so you want to ask your questions to him so he can respond to your questions. And Tim's real good at doing that. So
It's fun.
I had to say it.
Just come up with a date where we all can get out there.
So I'll contact him and find out what his availability is while
My
you folks
question will be, we'll put a
while you
form
folks
in
think
the
about
house.
yours, and then we'll see what we can do.
Yeah, just get maybe a couple options from him, that way we can see. The next thing on our list is the solar parking canopies. So I mentioned that, Ed knows it. So going back a few weeks ago, former building commissioner Jim Merritt, I guess, has been speaking to somebody in town about different solar options, and the golf course was one of the areas. Jim came to my house a couple weeks ago to give me the information that he had. One option was this company who had approached him was potentially interested in, the area of the parking lot at the golf course. Wouldn't be seen from the street. Could you put up the parking canopies, that are built up higher so people can park in the shade? Takes advantage of that property that's otherwise not doing anything anyway. On the very face of it, I personally think it could be a kind of cool idea. Generate some electricity for the course, especially if we thought someday we'd ever move to electric golf carts. It could be a little bit greener, not using gas, generate our own electricity to charge the carts. But the flip side, at least, with this company and their immediate proposal that they had, quite honestly, I think the dollar value that they're looking to give to us is extremely low. The other thing is where I work, we have quite a bit of solar arrays on our properties where I work. We have a woman who's a consultant with us who's negotiated these deals. I talked to her just a little bit about it. And so there's basically two ways to go about these. You take somebody's deal like this where you don't really get involved, you let them build what they want to build, they pay you a lease payment, and you're done with it. You just collect some money for letting them use your land. Or you put a little bit more effort into it. You work with somebody, an electric provider, that's going to design the project for you anyway, but you take on the responsibility of overseeing the contract up front, and then you reap the 100% of the benefits of the solar that you're producing. Right? You get all the credits back. Like, these people are renting the land from you, and they're taking the solar credits, the solar energy it's doing, they're getting the money from what the solar is generating.
Yeah.
You do it yourself, you're giving yourself more work to do, but in the long run, you reap the benefits of what it's actually generating up there. So the first step is, are we even interested in anything? And then the second step would be, we want to take somebody's quick cash here, use our property, or would we want to look into doing it so we would actually see some benefits from it? We don't have as much land as the arrays that I have where I work, but we take in almost $300,000 a year net credits from the panels we have at work.
Well, I'd like to see
That's just
a
like a
course.
few years ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago. It was a different company. Remember, Dana, the guy came in.
We've actually,
He was actually offering us more
two
money
times
then than this guy is now.
gone after.
To put him in there.
What you want to put in the beginning?
The current
To own
proposal
your
right now
own.
would be 0. And then, under this guy's plan, it would be 0, because they're just looking to lease our land from us.
So you lease the land and you got a piece of the action. that's all.
Right, they would give you a guaranteed payment each year for leasing the land. The other ways is when you can, let me finish one sentence, and then I'll get right to you. The other way too is some of these projects, they're funded by the guaranteed savings, supposedly, from the contractor who helps build it, then the credits that come back. So it kind of helps pay for the construction itself, and then you still get the net benefit beyond that, which is how an outside company would make their money anyway. But it seems like Mr. Kelly has a comment to make on this whole thing.
Number one, we have a solar moratorium right now.
Yep.
Number two, I would suggest that you folks, when you're considering this, read in the town planner, who is the one that's going to be, or at least have your people who are proposing it go and talk to him
Oh, yeah.
to make sure that it complies with everything it has to comply with. He also knows some of the rate structures that are going on now and could be a resource.
Oh, I wouldn't think that we would take this on our own by any chance. It's just the first step of, would we even as a committee entertain wanting this on the golf property? It's like the first step. The moratorium, I thought, is that on everything? I thought that was only on like ground clearing projects.
It's on ground based.
No, but-
Even though your parking lot's cleared,
Yeah.
you'd still be attaching it to the ground.
Yeah. Okay.
And
We did a study in hours, and we had a couple of companies that come in and to do just the field on the side of the parking lot. And to fill up that with panels, we would have to come up with $250,000 down before we start. And then they go from there, and in the end, they make more money than you do. And that's why I.
That's why they offer it.
I think that's the whole idea with them. Yeah, you're right, Manny. They don't care about you.
And they change hands very quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, municipalities have slightly different incentives on some of these things as well, but
the other thing you have to consider with any proposals is that a solar field is usually decommissioned in 20 years.
right.
And we're looking right now just to make sure from the town's point of view that they put enough surety in place. Anybody who would own this would have to put enough surety in place. Or the company, if they were renting it, would have to put enough surety in place for the decommissioning. And depending on the size right now, we're looking at $1 million.
Oh, just to get rid of it after it's.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, man.
Yeah, so they're definitely, you know, pros and cons, so to speak.
Yeah.
This is something that we're here to decide tonight. I just wanted to.
But
You
that's
mention
why
it.
I
You have to
think,
read the real fine print on it
yeah,
before you sign
you
it.
should definitely get the planner involved from the get-go.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, Even before even when you're doing your investigations, to consider if you wanted to do it. Because he's been investigating this for a couple of years and he knows all the pros and cons.
Has the school benefited from it?
Like I said, we net about $275,000 a year in the end. You know, net true
Yeah.
cost to us, revenue to us, I should say.
That's
We've got a couple of big fields and the roof of the high school is covered.
Mhm.
But it's,
Oh, there's something to think about.
Yeah,
the contracts are this thick though. right?
Yeah.
And
And the roof array will be different than the field arrays.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and it was done, there's quite a few of them down the Cape, so
Yes.
there's a cooperative that actually did it. So it's kind of on our property, but the Cape Cooperative did it, and that's why there's a woman this has been her full-time job, is doing it on behalf of the communities of the Cape. And she's the one who was explaining a little bit to me how, you know, you don't really want somebody to just come in and lease your land from you if you're trying to make some money off of it, because then it's 98% them and 2% you.
Right.
Again, I was just wanted to mention that, you know, literally in my doorstep, the package showed up. I wanted to say that it was out there, not that we would pick this company, make a decision to do anything, but just an option that we may want to look at as part of the bigger plan for the whole course. If we're thinking of repaving the parking lot at some point, redoing anything of, redoing the trailer into a better building, whatever that may be at some point in time, would that be part of the whole plan of the entryway, so to speak? Not from
Right.
the street, but the entryway once you're down there. How's the parking lot laid out?
Well, Jim did come by initially with them, and we chatted, and they were, the proposal that they were discussing was an as-is layout, the way the parking lot is, but in order to maximize it, you would have to change the layout and get more,
Because
there's
you'd want the
plenty of
cars
space.
parked like nose
Yes,
to nose and
Yeah.
not separated with the island that we have now.
correct.
Yeah, that's what I mean, when we initially talked about the cost of paving the parking lot, that was Dan's idea too, is to eliminate those grass islands. Still have a separation,
Yeah.
but by eliminating the grass islands, trimming on the one side, taking those, the swales
Mhm.
and beveling the path, so, the parking lot, so it drains into the drain cover as opposed to the swale, you get much more parking space. And, you know, when we have a, a full boat on a Saturday morning, plus you got an outing coming in the afternoon, I mean, you ain't got, there's no place to park.
They're parked all the way
No
up the
place.
street, they're parked in his lot. It's-
They're parked on the grass by the gas tank, I mean,
Yes,
they're
yeah,
just, they're everywhere.
parked everywhere.
So buying a little bit more parking wouldn't be a bad idea either, but however it fits into that equation.
I don't think we're gonna do anything tonight, just wanted to mention it.
So we're gonna is this tabled or tabled?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll just table, just be something in the back of our minds to keep thinking of for the parking area if we wanted to.
I'll make a motion to table,
Second.
All in favor?
because I can't see golfers in their golf cart driving around as solar panels, throwing clubs.
Well, two shanking a ball off the driveway.
Yeah, right.
Well, that's a guarantee.
Yeah, my building's been getting bombed for the past.
See, you won't park your car there, so you don't want to put a panel up there, right?
Well, I don't own the panel, so I own my car.
Yeah.
I won't park on that 3/4 of that parking lot.
If I was you, I'd park in the front and walk all the way down.
I don't park next to an electric vehicle either.
Yeah, catch on fire.
All right.
All right, so we have our operations update next. Dana?
Sure. Just give you a quick rundown. See if I have the next one. I'm gonna have to make some more copies.
All right. I'll listen. Okay.
So real quick, I'll let you take a look at July's plan, 5,880 rounds. And this July's actual was 6,123. Revenue forecasted 282, and we did 325. And if you compare that to last July of 282, we had a quite successful month of July. And thus far for August, we have a forecast of 280, and as through yesterday, we're at rounded up 151. So we're right on track. It did drop, like I said, it did drop off a little bit. We had some forecast rain that never occurred, but people did back off of their tee times that day. We had a little bit of, the customers had a little bit of heat stress as they kind of took a break from a few rounds of golf, but not anything significant, but you could definitely feel a little bit of a relief with the volume. But,
Steve, when did we aerate last year? In September?
October.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it was right after Memorial Day.
There was an
Or not, it's
outing.
not Memorial Day, it was
Labor Day.
Labor Day.
Well, there was an outing issued.
Yeah, there was an outing, we postponed it because we were, kind of on top of the New Bedford
Fire, that's right. Yep.
Fire's outing,
So
so
we're gonna lose
we
2
pushed
days
it
in
out,
August.
yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Dana, what do you got for outings coming up?
I was speaking with Steve the last couple of days. I've had a significant amount of cancellations as we were booked every Saturday and Sunday all through September, all through October till the last week in October, and a couple of them. I'm in the habit now, 2 weeks out, starting to touch base with these the outing commissioners. Where are you guys at? How many bodies do you have? What are you anticipating? And I've had 3 or 4 of them just back right out, said I couldn't get anybody. I'm not getting any bites, or I couldn't get enough people, so we're postponing till next year. I'm like, okay, just staying in the loop. If you want to book a date, let me know. Moving forward, so regular play, we're going to see a decent volume of play, and you get your peak rack rate coming through. So I don't think we lose anything by not having an outing, and it actually allows us to control the volume of play and where they play, as opposed to outings, which are like a shotgun scatter, and it's a different mindset, as we all know, outing play versus regular
Well,
team
a
time.
lot of outings are more controlled of the imbibing as opposed to.
Yes, it's a
where-
it's a
where the
4.5 hour
regular golfers
tailgate
usually-
as opposed to playing golf.
The regular rounds are usually interested in
It
playing.
becomes a different
golf.
game when
Yeah,
you're in an outing,
Absolutely.
unfortunately.
It's a subject we should address at some time. Outings, period.
You know, we have a few staples that come back every year and have been faithful and so on, but then you have, like these guys, I mean, they say, oh yeah, I'm coming with 120 people, and then they blow you off
Right.
2 weeks ahead. You know, it's really,
I had one coming up fairly recently, and I touched base with them, and they were saying 100, a new event, and his numbers were at 40. And I said, do you see yourself coming close to? Not a chance. We're gonna be about 40, 50 players, so,
Not worth it.
no. I mean, I don't shut down the course, we play,
yeah.
you know,
No,
we give them their
it's-
space, and then we play around them and maximize our revenue, and we give them a day to
Is
build their event.
Oktoberfest still on there?
Still is, yeah, it's on the second week of October, I believe.
Oh, good. All right.
So those postings, we were just talking about it today, those postings will go up in the first week of September and start taking names. And we're gonna limit that to 120 and not go with a 144, because it's better for the customer, more control, and it's a better experience for everybody. And we've communicated with most of our outings this season that 144 is the ultimate max, but it's not the recommended number for outings. 128 is a great number for outings. 144 is a slow, agonizing round of golf for most people that enjoy the game.
And there's other people that want to push for 8 more people out there.
Yes, there are.
So, or groups. So,
Mhm.
you know, I would definitely make it known that and there's no exceptions to
Nope.
go over 144. I don't care who you are, what you do, how much
Nope.
you're gonna
We
pay
have
me.
not ordered
It's
more
not
cards.
happening. Because all it makes is a miserable time out there. People get
everybody.
more
That's
rowdy,
right.
they get uptight because they're waiting.
Right.
No,
And
it
they
ain't
think they're
worth it.
doing people a favor by including them, but I try to explain, like, look, they might be your customers for this charitable event, but they're my customers playing on my golf course. So if they're coming here and spending 6.5 hours, that's not enjoyable. That's not a good experience.
No, it ain't. You're right.
And then maintenance updates.
Well, I've got the handout, but 95% of the stuff that's on it, we've already spoken about. There's only 2 things that I'd like to address. The first thing being our maintenance Mondays, because we are coming into a situation where we need to do a lot of renovation and so on. A lot of work that really is difficult to do in the presence, or being surrounded by other people. So I'd like to continue those in September. And it would be, if you look on the second page, halfway down, it says maintenance Mondays. And obviously, it would be nice to have a full day, but, at least if we could, be delayed until 11:30, that would allow me to get some work done, because this time of year is just staying darker longer, and we really can't get started with the aeration and other practices until we can see a little bit. And then, at least this way, I could probably get 1 or 2 holes done a day, if I jump around. So, that's, they would be the 29th, which is next Monday, and then September 5th, 12th, and 26th. And then I think after that, I think we can fit some of our other practices in and not have to worry so much about having the extra time.
So you have 4 Mondays, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And then the other thing I was going to mention to everyone is that just our staffing situation. As of the 1st of September, we'll be down 4 people. Our college students go back to school. And for the most part, that's the backbone of our labor force. So we're trying to get a lot of these labor-intensive jobs done prior to them going back. I do have a part-time employee in mind who's actually previously worked here, who would be, who came back to us a couple weeks ago and said that he like to come back and do some part-time work, which will help out. And I'm hoping that I can find possibly another full-time person that we can hire to replace Al, who was a full-time person but then went to part-time once he retired. So that's what we're looking to do, hopefully in September. I know that the one part-time person will be able to bring back right away. The full-time person we're going to advertise for and see if we can find somebody within the parameters that we're offering for pay and whatnot.
So you rehired the part-time?
Excuse me?
So you are rehiring?
No, I'm going to rehire a former full-time employee
Okay, so,
who retired and decided that now he's got a little bit of extra time and wouldn't mind coming back to work with the guys since he knows everybody and so on. Plus he has significant mechanical experience which could help us out in that regards in places too. So.
Sounds good.
Like I said, I mean, just the rest of the report we've already discussed, so I don't see a reason to go back over it again.
so what do we do with maintenance money?
I think it should be 2 pages. Like that on
Well, you mentioned shutting down the whole day on Monday.
I said that would be preferred, but, obviously I don't want to, especially now that we're getting into the time of year where, rounds are starting to drop off.
Shutting down the whole day.
We would
Pretty
like
much
to-
are.
We would like the whole day, but.
If you're shutting down till 11:30, you are closing for the whole day because you shut down the tee box so that the leagues can go off at 3:30. So you're not really you're not gonna see anything
So, yeah.
for revenue.
So that would be actually shutting down except for.
Yeah,
except for
once
this-
the leagues come out,
Yeah,
I don't
leagues.
when we've been doing maintenance Mondays, I don't even bring in the grill guy because it's not even worth it. So, I mean, it's up to you guys, whatever you wanna do.
It's been working out all right.
That's a decision that you guys have to make. My own personal opinion, I have my own opinion.
Monday and Tuesday were closed completely,
No, Monday you close completely, Tuesday you open,
noon.
yeah, off the front side, because we normally finish the back side on Tuesday afternoon. And then, like I said, on the Monday, I mean, it's just that doing aeration and doing verticutting, doing slicing and seeding is time intensive. And you're to have to, I can't really tell the operators to not stop because people playing would have, wouldn't appreciate that. But then, you're aerating in the middle of the fairway, you gotta stop, what do? You have to pick up the machine, you have to drive off, you have to wait till somebody plays, then you have to turn around, drive back, start again, and then by that time, the next group's on top of you. You just don't get anything done.
We were gonna close on when's the fairway aeration?
19th.
19th.
Yeah, that's when, this is for the spot stuff.
So
that we
let's
need
go
to
back
do.
to the Monday. So if you're not gonna open it up until 3 o'clock, right? The leagues, right?
Well, I mean, it's all, however you guys decide to do is what we'll do.
We need to get this course back
Yeah,
in,
back in check.
back in conditions.
So
The
you
donut's gonna cost
can
us
work
a lot more to
until
get it.
whatever time, you can have the whole day off.
Yeah, I'll do as much, if I have the whole day, I'll do as much as I can
Yeah.
in the day. I mean, we
Probably
you
get
can
more
work
done
after-
doing it that
after
way, I
12.
would think, right?
Right.
He needs the golf
When
course
you-
back by 2 o'clock, right?
Well, I was gonna say, why don't you just pick, instead of just shutting down on Monday for half a day, shut down for a full Monday, work the whole day, get everything that you need done, and then open up the next Monday. Why, you don't have to piecemeal it so you lose business on all the Mondays. Just shut down on one Monday and work the whole day.
Yeah, if I can get far enough on a Monday, like I said, I mean, the aerator's only so big. It does 7,000 square feet in 20 minutes.
What would you be doing that, every other Monday, like that?
I don't know, I'm trying to think
Yeah.
efficiently and
Yeah.
the way you're gonna reap the most revenues.
Yeah.
Shutting down every Monday, one, you're disengaging your customer not to play your golf course on Mondays and they're going somewhere else.
Right.
You're breaking your momentum that we've been working on for 20 years. Our momentum is built to a place now where, yeah, we're doing well. We have some maintenance issues, but this is what we've worked towards, is to get to this point. Now, if you start working against yourself, you're gonna shift your customer to go somewhere else. How am I gonna get that guy back?
Makes sense, but we gotta get the quality of golf course back.
So there's an efficient way that it should go about it. You don't shut down every Monday and lose the Monday customer.
Right.
You gotta
So-
figure it out.
So what do you suggest? We should, he's talking 4 days, 4 Mondays here.
Shut down for 2 Mondays completely and get it all done, just like you
So
do with
which
the
ones do you
aeration.
want, Steve?
September 5th is Labor Day, should we be?
Yeah, Labor Day, you can't, you know, that was a mistake on my part.
Okay.
Right, so the 5th shouldn't be on there anyway.
Yeah, the 5th shouldn't be on there anyway. So let me look at the, oops, sorry. Well, we've got, why don't we say the 29th and the 12th? And then that way we're, you know, like I said,
So this is all day, 29th and the 12th.
yeah, then I'll have, you know, and I'll have my guys work as late as we can on Monday, on those 2 days, and then we'll see what progress we can make.
And when you say all day, that would be inclusive of what time frame, just so we're on the same page.
Well, we'll be starting, you know, at 5:30 in the morning, and we'll be going minimum till 2:30, depending on daylight and the progress that we make.
All right,
What time do your league start?
3:30.
So 2:30 be good.
Perfect. So you can stay till 3:30, get even more done.
Or you can consider
Yeah,
till
just
3
the
if you
leagues
can.
on.
Yeah, well, I mean, you gotta understand, I gotta work in the schedule with my people too, because I've only got so many,
Yeah. But give them some time off on the one that you don't
There you
have.
go.
Oh, yeah, I do.
OT.
Yeah. Alright, so it's August 29th, September 12th, and September 5th, that's a holiday anyway.
That's a holiday anyway.
So I'll make that motion, the 29th and the 12th.
I'll second it.
Yes.
I texted you a couple of times, are you still isn't
August
meeting?
Yes, I
29th,
am.
and September 12th, just those 2 days.
Oh, because Tammy Nelson and Debbie Jeff at Blue Point, we're going to meet them there.
You're on speaker, man.
Alright, so we got a motion and a second, all in favor? For August 29th and September 12th.
Those are shutdown days.
Yep.
What,
So you got the 29th and the 12th, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And we're open the 5th and the 26th.
Yes.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
that's a holiday.
yeah, that's fine.
At least we got 2 Mondays already.
All right,
Hopefully I
next
can get
meeting.
finished, so we don't need to do it.
Yeah.
It doesn't say, but that's what we need to put as the next meeting.
Next meeting, yeah. Phone is ringing, so next meeting.
We don't pick that up as an issue.
So, 1, 8, 15, 22 in September.
1, 8, 15, 22, and 29.
September, right?
Yeah.
I don't think, where am I going? I mean, Hilton had the 26th to the first week of October.
15th, that sounds good to you, everyone, we love.
15th.
15 or 22.
15's fine.
15th?
And we may.
And Steve, you get in touch with that
Yeah, we may have to.
architect?
Who, Tim? Yeah, I'll
Yeah, we may
get a
have to
hold of him
post
either
a
tonight or
meeting for
tomorrow.
that.
I don't know if he's
Right,
still in
yeah,
the
if we
office or not.
have 3 or more of us, yeah, just to be here. Okay, so
Yeah, he might take my calls.
15th,
4:30?
Yep.
Okay.
Here.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
Move.
All in favor?
Jeez, you beat me.
Good night.